Ladies and gentlemen of our 2013 the Springs Fantasy Football League, I give you our newly annual State of the League address. Now, there are a few things I wanted to cover. We'll go over some minor rule changes and tweaks. But first, I wanted to make you aware of the documents I pinned on our Facebook page. First, you'll notice that we have the rule change of all the rules for this year, 2013. The changes from last year are, as always, in bold. You also will find a link. Now, the little link will take you to Google Drive site that has all the different documents that I use to determine salaries, adjustments, that sort of thing. The other tidbit of information is there is a new document which details the franchise moves that everyone has left. Now, I am setting a firm deadline, a hard deadline of Thursday at noon this week to get in your final preseason roster moves. After this, your rosters become final, and there will be no changing after this until draft. The other bit of news is that I have opened up the voting for our fantasy draft. It will. I'm hoping for sometime around Labor Day weekend, between then and kickoff. We do have some limitations with some people, so get in there, vote. If there isn't a time that you can make, that everyone else can make, add a time. All right, now on to rule changes for this year. First and foremost, we have an injury exemption rule. Now, this is a little bit detailed, so I'll have to go over it in a minute. Basically, this is designed to bring some sort of fairness if you draft a player or if you have a player under contract who is injured. Basically, it works like this. Say, and this deals with, this could affect me and Percy Harvin this coming season, right? So in the case with Percy Harvin, I have him under contract for $12 this coming season. Now he underwent or has undergone hip surgery to repair something in there. Anyway, he'll be missing a good portion of the season. Now, if for whatever reason he goes on the IR, not the IR designated to return, not the PUP, but the real injured reserve. Before we draft, I recover that $12, and he is also on my team next year for $12, meaning we basically push him back one calendar year. All right. The other thing that happens is if he isn't put on IR, but does not play the entire season, a la Peyton Manning a couple of years ago, then I would pay for him at the start at our draft like normal because I don't know if he's playing or not. And then if he doesn't play throughout the entire course of the year, I would then be able to keep him free the following year. So I paid for him this year, and then I get him next year because I didn't get him at all this season. Okay. The other caveat to that would be if I had another year on his contract, I would then have to, then that contract would be pushed back a year. So, and this is all detailed in the rule book. All right. Moving on to ownership transfer. Basically, I wrote out all the rules that we implemented for transferring ownership that applied to transferring ownership of Jared's old team to Jeremy. So you can look that over. There aren't too many things that are new or exciting about that you don't already know about. And the most important one, in my opinion, is ownership participation. Now, we have 10 I think, who are hopeful, very active people in our league. So this should never happen, ideally. But I understand everyone has busy lives and lives change. This basically comes down to what is mandatory in order to stay in this league and what isn't. Now, we're making a list of mandatory things, such as the draft, such as setting your valid lineup every week, and taking part in polls and off-season bidding for the occasional team ownership transfer or liquidation or auction sale, something like that. All right. Owners during the season to any of these things will have 1 week to respond. Right? Fantasy goes by week basis, so 1 week you should be on there and make some sort of acknowledgement. During the off season, that is after week 17, but before the preseason, so basically January through August, you'll have 2 weeks to respond. And usually it'll be pretty minor things. It might be a poll on who ownership should go to, something like that, right? Or, but usually I won't have too many things in the off season. If you miss any one of those things, let me back up. We have a system of 3 participation points. Everyone starts out with 3. If you miss any one of, like, you don't set a valid lineup 1 week, or you miss a poll, or you forget to send in bids, or don't send me any information, you will lose a point. If you miss the draft, you'll lose 2 points. Now, if you get to 0 points, any owner, including myself, can call for a vote of confidence, which means that you can be voted out from the league. That measure has to pass by a 2/3 majority, meaning 6 of us to 3 of us vote one way. After that, if it doesn't pass, you get 1 probationary point. You lose that point, and you're expelled. The caveat to this is you earn back your participation points 1 calendar year after you lost it, right? So, and the other caveat to this is you can actually earn 1 participation point for participating in our mock draft, right? The participation for participating in our mock draft is contingent for that year only. So you lose that point, but you could gain that point right back by participating in the mock draft next year. All right? And that is about it. The other thing I added is all franchise moves, not this year, but starting next year, are final once the Hall of Fame game, the first preseason game, starts. So that's what the hard deadline I'm setting for Thursday at noon this year is. All right. All franchise moves will be updated in that document, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much for your time.